The sky had turned golden as the sun dipped behind the trees. I had just finished a long shift at the precinct, meetings, paperwork, and a tough case briefing. I finally slipped into something casual, made myself a strong cup of coffee, and sat on my porch. To most of my neighbors, I was just Dan, the quiet man who lived at the end of the cul-de-sac. They didn't know I was Chief Daniels, head of the city police department. I liked it that way. No politics, no salutes, just peace. As I leaned back in my chair, I noticed something odd. A black SUV crawling down the street, headlights off. It stopped right in front of my house. My instincts sharpened instantly. Wrong car, wrong time, wrong vibe. Two men stepped out, both in what looked like police uniforms. But even from my porch, I could spot the mistakes. Shiny new boots that no cop wore, badges hanging awkwardly, belts without proper equipment. Something wasn't right. I set my coffee down slowly. The evening had just taken a turn. The taller one approached with stiff confidence. His chest puffed out, his walk rehearsed. "Sir," he barked, "you're under arrest for multiple violations of HOA ordinances." I almost choked on my own laugh. Arrest? For HOA rules? You're joking, right? The shorter one pulled out a clipboard, flipping papers. Failure to remove unauthorized shed. Non-compliant parking. And your dog exceeds weight limits, I raised an eyebrow. And since when does HOA law equal state law? That's when I spotted her. Across the street, HOA President Karen stood on her porch, arms folded, smirk plastered across her face. She was enjoying this. This wasn't a coincidence. She had sent them. I stood up slowly, walking down the steps to meet them. "Gentlemen, let's make this simple. Show me your credentials." The tall one stiffened. "Procedure doesn't allow us to hand over ID to suspects." I chuckled, but my eyes stayed sharp. "Funny. Real police procedure requires you to identify yourself when asked." They exchanged nervous glances. I looked closer at their badges, generic emblems with no department name. Their radios? Plastic shells with no blinking lights. Their cuffs? Cheap, flimsy knockoffs. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was certain. These weren't officers. But instead of blowing their cover right away, I decided to play the game. "All right," I sighed, pretending defeated. "Guess I'll have to come quietly." Karen's grin widened across the street as she raised her phone to start recording. I let the officers motion me toward their SUV. Inside, I was cataloging every detail, the way the tall one's hand shook when he reached for my arm, the cheap leather smell of their belts, the SUV with no police markings, no dash lights. They thought they had me fooled. They had no idea who they were really dealing with. As they walked me down the driveway, the shorter one muttered under his breath, "Get him in fast. HOA wants him at the warehouse before dark." "Warehouse? Shaw handling me?" My jaw tightened. That wasn't just impersonation. That was kidnapping. I stopped cold. A warehouse? That's not procedure. "Unless you're planning a felony." The tall one shoved me lightly. "Keep moving." Now my patience was gone. These clowns weren't just power-hungry. They were dangerous. I turned on them, standing tall. My voice dropped into the calm authority I'd perfected over years in uniform. "You know," I said evenly, "there's one very big mistake you boys made tonight." The shorter one sneered. "And what's that?" I reached into my jacket, pulled out my real badge, and held it high so the porch light gleamed across it. "Chief Daniels, City Police Department, and right now you're both under arrest." Their eyes widened. Karen's smug smile vanished instantly. The tall fake officer's face went pale. "You're bluffing." I tapped the radio on my hip, the real one. "Dispatch, this is Chief Daniels. I've got 2 impersonators attempting abduction under the guise of HOA enforcement. Send backup units immediately." The crackle of dispatch filled the air. "Copy that, Chief. Units en route." Karen's phone wavered in her hand as she realized what was happening. Neighbors peeked from windows, stepping onto porches. Phones started recording. The officers began backing away, muttering excuses. But they were trapped. Karen stormed across the street, shouting, "This is a misunderstanding. They're not impersonators, they're contractors!" "Yes, contractors helping enforce HOA law." I raised an eyebrow. "Contractors in fake police uniforms? Trying to kidnap me?" "That's your defense?" She sputtered, looking around as neighbors filmed every word. "You can't arrest them. I hired them. This is HOA business. I couldn't help but smirk. Thank you, Karen. You just confessed. On camera? The flashing of real sirens echoed down the street. Her little scheme was about to collapse in the most public way possible. Red and blue lights painted the street as 3 marked patrol cars screeched to a halt. Real officers poured out, weapons drawn, voices firm. Hands where we can see them. Down on the ground! The fake officers froze, trembling. Their cheap uniforms looked laughable next to the crisp official gear of my department. One of them tried to bolt, but 2 officers pinned him before he made it 5 feet. Karen screamed from the sidewalk. This is harassment. He's the criminal here. He broke HOA rules. The lead sergeant shot her a glare. Ma'am, impersonating an officer is a felony. And from what I hear, you just admitted to orchestrating it. The crowd of neighbors erupted in murmurs. Phones zoomed in on her shocked face. The tall impersonator stammered, We were just doing our job. Karen said it was legal. I crossed my arms. Legal? Kidnapping me and taking me to a warehouse? You boys just signed up for prison time. Officers cuffed both of them as they begged Karen for help. But she backed away, throwing her hands up. I don't know them. They lied to me. I smiled coldly. Funny, Karen. 10 minutes ago you were bragging that you hired them. The sergeant looked at me. Chief, do you want to press charges? I didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Karen tried to rally. She stomped forward, waving her arms. This neighborhood is under my authority. You can't take them. I'm the HOA president. The sergeant barked. Ma'am, step back. She didn't. Instead, she lunged at me, finger jabbing toward my chest. This isn't over. I'll have the entire HOA sue you. You can't embarrass me like this. That was the final straw. I gave a small nod. Officers moved in, gripping her wrists as she shrieked, Let me go! I did nothing wrong. Neighbors cheered. For years, she had bullied them with fines and threats. Now they were watching her get dragged away in cuffs. Before the night ended, one of the arrested impersonators spilled everything. The warehouse. It's full of seized property. Cars, bikes, ATVs. Stuff Karen told us to collect for HOA violations. My blood boiled. This wasn't just harassment. It was organized theft. I ordered a unit to the warehouse. Sure enough, inside were rows of stolen belongings, neatly stacked like trophies. Everything had been tagged with homeowners' names. We called in trucks, evidence teams, and within hours, stolen property was being returned. Families cried with relief as their things came back. Karen's empire of control had been built on lies and theft, and we dismantled it overnight. Weeks later, the case hit court. Karen, dressed sharply but looking pale, tried every excuse. I didn't know they were fake. It was just neighborhood security. The chief is exaggerating. But then the recordings played. Her voice crystal clear. I hired them. This is HOA business. The jury's faces said it all. Her lies crumbled. The judge's gavel slammed down. Karen, you are guilty of conspiracy, fraud, and employing individuals for illegal impersonation of officers. Sentencing will be severe. Karen's face drained of color. For once, her arrogance was gone. Karen was sentenced to prison time, along with the 2 impersonators. The HOA board dissolved in disgrace, unable to survive the scandal. The neighborhood changed almost overnight. No more bogus fines, no more threats. Families felt free again. People waved when I walked down the street, thankful that justice had finally crushed Karen's rule. One elderly neighbor shook my hand with tears in her eyes. Chief, we thought nobody could stop her. You gave us our peace back, I smiled. That's what real law is for. One evening, weeks later, I sat on my porch again, coffee in hand. The street was quiet, kids riding bikes freely, laughter echoing from yards. I looked at the same spot where that black SUV had once pulled up, and I couldn't help but chuckle. Karen had tried to weaponize fake authority against me. She thought I was just a regular man she could bully into submission. But she forgot one thing. You can't outplay the law when the law lives across the street. I leaned back, sipping my coffee, and whispered to myself with a grin, Case closed.